Now, the latest from ITV News Meridian with Fred Dinage and Sangeeta Barbara.
Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south. A match at last for Zara. A worldwide search finds a stem cell donor that could save the life of this Winchester schoolgirl.
In rude health, the hospital trust in the south under the spotlight of inspectors.
Rising from the ashes, how wildlife is beginning to return to the heathland ravaged by fire. Plus,
was cheated by you, and I think you know when.
As Mamma Mia the musical starts its nationwide tour, we speak to its creator. Good evening to you, a very warm welcome. We start the programme tonight with some really positive news. Now, you may recall an appeal we ran in February to find a blood stem cell donor to help save the life of a young girl from Winchester. Well, we are delighted to announce that tonight a match has been found.
Zara Al-Sheikh, who has leukemia, has English and Arabic heritage, which made finding a donor difficult. But thanks to the power of social media, the teenager's quest was shared with thousands. Zara will receive the donation in the next few weeks.
Well, Zara's friends and family set up Match for Zara Twitter accounts to raise awareness of the 13-year-old's plight, never realising it would all go viral. Nearly 1,000 people attended a drop-in event in Winchester and joined the donor register. Zara had already battled leukemia in 2014 and had been in remission, but the cancer returned again in January and a transplant was her best hope of survival. Well, today came the news that she and her family had been waiting for. Well, reaction now from Una Farrell from Delete Blood Cancer UK, who's in our London studio. Una, great news for Zara and her family. Her problem was the fact she's of mixed heritage, and that's made finding the perfect match even more difficult, hasn't it?
That's right, and we're absolutely thrilled that a match has been found for Zara. It's what we all wanted, and everyone at Delete Blood Cancer UK celebrates with her today, particularly because it was so hard to find a match for her. It's a particularly big celebration.
Now, the donor, of course, will remain anonymous, but this was a worldwide search, wasn't it, that demonstrates the power, doesn't it, of social media?
It really does, and it demonstrates how everyone can get involved by just tweeting, sharing the story on their Facebook page. They could have a friend in Australia or the US or Germany who might register as a result. So it really was a worldwide effort.
So what now then for Zara? What's the next move?
She'll be having her donation in the next few weeks, and then she will be recovering from that. And it's really just a case of her family now and Zara just focusing on the donation and then just getting better.
Now, Zara's been joyfully tweeting already. She's naturally very, very happy, isn't she?
She's absolutely thrilled, and so are her family and friends and everyone who supported the appeal. This is what we've wanted all along, and we're absolutely thrilled that a match has been found. And
we should make it clear for you and your wonderful charity, the need for donors continues.
That's absolutely, and I would encourage anyone who hasn't registered, who is between the ages of 17 and 55, to register at the Delete Blood Cancer UK website, which is www.deletebloodcancer.org.uk. It takes a few minutes to do so, but you could save someone's life, and you could go on to donate to someone the way Zara's donor will be donating to her.
Great to talk to you. Let's hope the good news continues. Una Farrell, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Well, in other news tonight, more than 60 firefighters from across West Sussex have tackled a blaze that ripped through a thatched cottage near Bognor Regis. Crews spent more than 15 hours battling the flames, which broke out yesterday evening in Shripney. The homeowners escaped unhurt. Officers remained at the scene today, removing affected areas of the roof and helping to salvage furniture. It's not yet known how the fire started.
And vandals have set fire to bins, a vending machine and tried to destroy a ticket office at Farnborough railway station. The arson attack at around 3 o'clock this morning has caused hundreds of pounds of damage, but the station was able to open for this morning's rush hour.
But there were rush hour problems on the M3 in Surrey, where a burst water main brought traffic to a standstill. It happened in Woodland, opposite the Maltway Bridge at Camberley. The road finally reopened this afternoon. Water supplies to nearby homes were also affected.
Inspectors from the Care Quality Commission today began a major review of NHS services in our region. They say they want to expose poor care as well as highlighting best practice.
Well, hospitals in Sussex are coming under the spotlight, as well as the scandal-hit South East Coast Ambulance Service. They'll be ranked from outstanding through to inadequate. Malcolm Shaw has our report.
It's 4 weeks since Keely Kane from Brighton gave birth to her son George. She has no complaints about the care she received at the Royal Sussex County Hospital, but does think there's room for improvement. Keely is supporting a campaign to create a midwife-led maternity unit at the hospital, offering parents an alternative to the existing consultant-led facilities.
I think it'll be more relaxed and less medicalised, and a bit more home from home, as opposed to feeling in a very clinical situation. And when you're in the middle of labour, having a home sort of feeling around you is what you need.
Maternity is just one of 8 key services at the Royal Sussex which have come under the spotlight today. A team of inspectors from the Care Quality Commission have been touring the hospital, talking to both staff and patients. It's part of a major review of NHS services to assess why some areas are performing better than others. The CQC says these inspections will give the public a clear picture of the quality of service in their regional NHS. They will expose poor or mediocre care, as well as highlighting good practice. A full report of the inspectors' findings will be published in due course, and the hospital trust here will become one of the first to be given a ranking from outstanding through to inadequate. Next month, the CQC will turn its attention to the South East Coast Ambulance Service. CCAM is already being investigated for a controversial pilot scheme which saw some emergency calls being delayed before an ambulance was dispatched. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News.
Cockroaches and fruit flies have been found during an inspection of 2 luxury cruise ships. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in America found 22 violations on Southampton-based liners Oceania and Oriana during spot checks this year. Inspectors shut down the Oceana's swimming pool and spa after finding they were not disinfected properly. In a statement, P&O Cruises say it is extremely disappointed in the result of the inspection, and the areas needing attention were immediately rectified.
Controversial plans to increase the size of the Red Funnel ferry terminal on the Isle of Wight have been recommended for approval. It would mean several homes on Dover Road in East Cowes would need to be demolished, but some homeowners are refusing to sell. The plans will go before councillors next week.
Now, this time yesterday, we told you about the black cat that got wedged in a 2-inch gap in a wall. Here's Phoebe pinned between her owner's house in Hassocks and a garage wall. Firefighters had to make a hole in the wall with a hammer and chisel to free her. Well, we've been to see Phoebe recovering from her ordeal at home, and her owner John has been speaking about her dramatic rescue.
You could see straight away the way the gap was, it just became narrower and narrower. So I think it was pretty obvious you're going to have to go through the wall. She couldn't move at all. She was completely trapped. She seems to be okay at the moment. She started biting me again this morning, so that's a good sign.
Yes, if your cat bites you, always a good sign. You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thanks for choosing us. Coming up, Simon with the somewhat unsettling forecast. Plus,
could we see a return of the holidays of yesteryear? Why more of us are turning our backs on cheap flights and package deals.
as always, for more on all of our stories, do head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, call us please. 0808 10 10 095 the number to ring, or you can get in touch via Facebook, or if you prefer, why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian. Well, now, heath and woodland fires can, of course, be a major problem in many parts of our region, wiping out wildlife and their habitats.
Well, one of the worst firefighters have had to deal with was at St Catherine's Hill at Christchurch near Dorset. But a year on, there are the first signs that life is beginning to return. Richard Slee reports on the heath's recovery.
There's virtually no heather regrowth.
Richard Johnson has known this heath since 1982 and says it's a haven for thousands of reptiles. But a year ago there was a disaster. 3 fires, all started deliberately.
There was firemen fighting, trying to beat out the perimeter of the fire, but it was a very windy, sunny day, and they didn't stand a chance, really. It looked like a volcanic eruption. It looked like that footage of Mount St Helens going up.
An area the size of 100 football pitches was devastated, and the fires took some time to put out. But soon afterwards, a team of volunteers moved in to try and save as much wildlife as possible. Hundreds of lizards and snakes that survived the inferno were relocated.
The most obvious change in the past year has been the regrowth of this moorland grass. But much of the really important habitat vegetation will take at least 20 years to fully recover.
It's devastating for the wildlife. It completely destroys the habitat right down to the ground, and it's just black ash. Some of the reptiles manage to get down holes and things and survive the initial burn, but they have nowhere to live when they come back out. And it's not just the wildlife, really. The lowland heath is a rare habitat, almost unique to southern England. It used to extend across Dorset, across Hampshire and Surrey, but it's been lost a lot due to plantations and urban development.
Eventually more gorse and birch trees will grow here, but that'll have to be cut back to encourage the growth of heather, the typical heathland plant much loved by reptiles and snakes. Richard Slee, ITV News, Christchurch.
More news from around our region, and army medals have been stolen from a flat at Queen's Road in Brighton. They belong to an ex-serviceman who served in the Falklands and Northern Ireland. They're said to have great sentimental value.
Dog walkers are being warned after suspected palm oil washed up on a number of Sussex beaches. The white waxy substance is poisonous for dogs and is now being collected and sent away for testing. It's been spotted at Seaford, Rottingdean, Saltdean, Lancing and Shoreham. Warning signs have been put in place.
Meanwhile, better news for a dog who surprised commuters when he joined them on their train in Berkshire this morning. He jumped on board the 9:57 South West train service as it left Wokingham for Reading. A search for its owner was launched on social media and they were reunited this afternoon.
Brilliant. Time now to take a look at what's making the national and world headlines. To London now, and Alistair Stewart.
Under pressure from the Panama tax scandal, Cameron insists his hands are clean. He tells a conference he's got no shares and no offshore wealth. Corbyn still wants an investigation. 2 teenage girls from troubled backgrounds are found guilty of murdering Angela Wrightson, a destitute alcoholic. And get your dog chipped or get charged. New rules come in, but some vets aren't happy. Join Ranveer Singh and me at 6:30.
Now, in the days before most people could afford to travel abroad, a holiday at home was a real annual treat.
True, but that changed, of course, with package deals and cheap flights. But now it seems we've turned full circle and staycations, as they become known, are increasingly popular.
Well, Lauren Hall looks back and forward at the fortunes of the holiday industry here in the south.
We go now to a holiday camp and introduce a new sport, pram racing.
A lot's changed over the years.
They're away first time.
In fact, this was once part of the entertainment at a Butlins holiday camp. pram racing never caught on. But here in Bognor Regis, the resort remains popular.
This year marks the 80th anniversary of Butlins. They were the first British holiday camps and have become something of a national institution. Now, of course, we don't always get glorious sunshine like this, but that's where the idea came from in the first place. Butlins were somewhere that families could go and have fun, whatever the weather.
When I was a boy, if it rained, you had a bad holiday. If it was fine, you had a chance of having a decent holiday.
That all changed in 1936, when Billy Butlin opened his first holiday camp. Other sites soon came along. One was even visited by the Queen.
And they're off.
Butlins became known for its fun and frolics, from eating competitions to games of Twister. Its famous redcoats always helping to provide family entertainment.
Billy Butlin was a great innovator, and he brought the Butlin Seaside Holiday to the UK, giving a great holiday for all those people at a fair price. And it's exciting that we're still here 80 years later.
The arrival of cheap package holidays inevitably led to a downward spiral. There are now only 3 Butlins resorts left in the country. But things are looking up. So-called staycations are enjoying a resurgence. The holiday firm Host Seasons has been seeing record numbers of customers.
Holiday resorts in the UK have evolved over time as customers' needs have adapted and changed. So you've got smaller lodge resorts like this, all about the setting and the accommodation, all the way up to larger resorts where we've got indoor pools, activities, restaurants, gyms, spas, and then everything else in between.
So why are so many of us choosing to stay closer to home?
It's the element of being able to travel not so far and enjoy places that you would say are like home from home.
You avoid the hassle of the airports, and it's just so beautiful.
And it's great that you can take your dogs with you as well and enjoy it as a whole family.
And are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, definitely.
80 years on, it's clear that the British staycation is still flying high. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Good news now for all ABBA fans, and that includes us. Ooh, Mamma Mia, the musical Mamma Mia is back in the UK.
There he goes again. Now it's been seen by many millions of fans worldwide, and now it's starting a nationwide tour, taking in venues here in the south. And our reporter Ellie Barker has been to talk to the show's author Catherine Johnson about its remarkable appeal.
I was cheated by you, and I think you know when.
It's been seen by more than 54 million people in 14 different languages, but now Mamma Mia is back in the UK. Its writer says she is happy for it to come home.
Oh, it's brilliant. I saw the show last night, and the audience, I think, did themselves proud.
I don't know how.
Do you still get the same excitement when you see it?
Yeah, yes. The short answer is yes, I do get excited.
First came the musical, but then came the movie. It's been described as the highest-grossing live-action musical film of all time.
I didn't know who was going to play the roles, so I wrote with that freedom of not thinking, I'm writing for Meryl Streep or I'm writing for Pierce Brosnan. I was just writing Donna and Sam.
When you did find out who were going to be playing the roles, what did you think then?
Then I thought, oh, me? Them? I've got, I was as inarticulate as I'm being right now.
You have gone on to write Hollywood films, international musicals. When you're at those big show business, red carpet events, how do you feel?
Generally, I would quite like to go home. They're a lot of fun, obviously, and I'm so glad I've had all the experiences I've had. But I feel most comfortable, I think, sat at a table with friends having a few glasses of Prosecco.
When you met Meryl Streep and you met Pierce Brosnan, did you feel like that, or did you feel comfortable because you were working so closely with them all?
I think they made me feel comfortable very quickly. Obviously, stars of their status know how people are going to feel around them, and they went out of their way to make everyone who was working on the film know that it was a collaborative process and that it wouldn't do any good if we all behaved in sort of Streep ways. And I can remember once watching the dance rehearsal and Pierce coming up afterwards, absolutely sort of soaked in sweat and sitting next to me and just having a laugh. And I did think to myself at that time, God, this is a weird experience. Here is James Bond dancing in front of me, you know, perspiring madly, and sort of wanted to reach across and just touch him, really, to make sure he was really there.
Did you?
No, kept my hands to myself.
Catherine, I could talk to you all day. Thank you so much for spending the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ellie Barker there talking to Catherine Johnson, the writer of Mamma Mia.
Now they've been trading oranges for kisses in a town in Berkshire today. Hungerford is the last place in England to celebrate Tutty Day, a tradition dating back 650 years.
Well, then the Tutty men collected taxes. Now it's just a kiss in return for an orange.
Disgusting.
Very civil. Divya Kohli reports.
Calling all commoners to court, the bellman's horn sounds first thing. The tutty poles are handed to the tutty men, who have a day of eating, drinking and, well, kissing women in the only town in England to celebrate Hoptide in this way.
These things are important, I think. You know, it's a bit like a family who's been farming for hundreds of years. If they stop farming, they lose the tradition and the connection. You know, some of the most important questions you can get asked are, you know, what's your name and who, you know, where do you come from? So it's very important to keep these traditions up, I think.
Oh, my hat!
Filmed here for the first time in the 1920s, it's celebrated on the second Tuesday after Easter. But this tradition dates back to the Middle Ages, when Hungerford's residents would pay a penny in rent, giving them fishing, shooting and grazing rights for the next 12 months. Now it's just a kiss in return for an orange.
What's the significance of the flowers that you're holding?
They're traditionally posies, because in the old days houses weren't very sanitary inside, so they were just a scent to carry into the house so it was bearable, basically. I think that's how it went.
The tutty men visit businesses and homes, each place offering a drink and a bite to eat. And this continues up until 9 o'clock tonight. It's a busy day ahead, so I thought I'd better get my kiss in quick.
A half eaten orange.
What a lovely start to the day.
Divya Kohli, ITV News, Hungerford.
It's got to be done.
Shocking, I call
No, it's
it.
got to be done.
Shocking.
I used to do it all the time when
Did
I used to be
you?
a reporter. Yeah, I was there every. It's always a first Tuesday, second Tuesday after Easter, isn't it? That's where we are today. Simon's with us now.
You sure?
Yeah.
No, week on
I
Thursday.
didn't then.
I'm getting confused.
No, it's always on a Tuesday.
Anyway, look, I have no oranges or kisses for you. Instead, I have the quiz
That's a
everybody
relief.
loves. Sunrise, sunset.
Oh!
So some gorgeous pictures, but from which end of the day? Here's the first one. Isn't that a lovely view of
beautiful.
Swanage from Fraser Shore?
Sangeeta?
Set, please.
No, it's a rise.
Oh, sorry, Fred.
Who doesn't love a reflective swan? Here's one in pool from Kevin Ferrioli.
That's a definite rise.
No, it's a set.
Oh,
and
Fred.
in another mirror-related incident, very clever this, this is Southampton Ian Holloway's door.
Sangeeta, you've got to get this one right.
Set.
Set is right.
Yes,
okay.
what's one?
This one brought to you by
2-1.
the letter B. Beautiful bit of Boscombe Beach from Ben in
That's
Bournemouth.
a definite rise.
It is a rise.
Well done, Fred.
Very red sky at the Spinnaker Tower from Helen Walker.
I think
Red
that's
sky at
a
night.
set.
Set. No, it's a delight. It's a
Oh,
sunrise.
Fred,
and
you should know
finally,
that.
a nice bit of interesting cloud and fence action in Milford-on-Sea from Lorraine Wilder.
That's a rise.
Set.
Set.
No!
Sangeeta knows
Is it a
because she
draw?
told me the answer. So there we go.
3-3. We're going to claim it as a draw.
Draw.
Simon Parkin, your forecast.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, some of us were lucky enough to give our daffodils a good watering today, courtesy of the hefty showers that were knocking around. A lot of dry and fine weather too. And that's how the night starts, with some clear spells, any showers fizzling away. Temperatures dipping down to around 6-7 degrees, so not especially cold. But after midnight, the cloud will start to thicken from the west, and we'll see some light patchy drizzly rain arriving too. And that means tomorrow will be a bit dull and a bit damp first thing. It's only light and patchy, that rain, nothing too major, and the whole lot is clearing away eastwards. And you can see the cloud will break up quite nicely too. However, there'll be more showers heavy, with perhaps some hail and thunder thrown in as well. Winds very strong, particularly along the coast and around the Isle of Wight, and the temperatures a bit disappointing, down on the last few days, peaking at a lowly 11 Celsius. That's just 52 in Fahrenheit. As for your high tide times, you can see in Brighton 11:05 in the morning, 11:30 in the evening, and then we're into a showery routine for the rest of the week. Thursday, as well as the showers, bit more cloud around, but at least the wind will ease off as the day goes on.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Just before we go, a quick word from Raggy Omar about ITV's On Assignment programme later this evening.
Tonight on Assignment, Geraint Vincent travels to the Golan Heights, seized from Syria by Israel in 1967. He meets the ancient Druze community that live there. They've long wished for their villages to be returned to their former Syrian homeland, but now they're torn between that country's bitter civil war and the Israeli occupation they've been under for a generation. Neil Connery is in Italy to discover the ancient mountaintop town now under threat from nature and the modern world. And I'm in Tehran, where a craze for plastic surgery has turned the city into the nose job capital of the world. Join us tonight at 10:40.
That's later, but in just a moment we've got the ITV Evening News with Alistair Stewart and Ranveer Singh.
Rachel Hepworth has got our late news. Do join her if you can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much indeed for watching. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.